Hi, everybody. Welcome to Disaster Awareness webinar. We're going to give it just a couple of seconds and let everybody come in. We're so happy to have you today. This is our last event, so I'm happy that you found your way here. So we'll get ready in just a second. All right, let's get started. So hello, everyone. My name is Megan Smolinski, and I am a Lone Star Legal Aid attorney and an Equal Justice Works Fellow. Thank you so much for joining us today for Disaster Preparedness Planning for the Future. We are excited to bring you this training as a four-part series collaboration between Lone Star Legal Aid and AARP. Throughout the summer, AARP in Houston has been teaming up with its partner, Lone Star Legal Aid, on the first Friday of May, June, July, and August to spread awareness about disaster-related legal topics and share resources for disaster preparedness and recovery efforts on this Facebook page. Today is our last presentation, and we will be discussing estate planning during the pandemic and must-have documents. As always, the session is being recorded, so if you need to leave early at any time, it's not a problem. You can always come back to this page and access the recording. You can also reach out to us directly and we can send you the link to the recording. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to type them. But as a reminder, this presentation is intended to serve as legal information and does not replace legal advice. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to call us at 1-800-733-8394, or you can always go to lonestarlegal.org for more information. Like I said, we'll answer questions that you have at the end of the session, and the training will run from about 11 to 12. So let's get started.
Thank you for joining our AARP in Houston and Lone Star Legal Aid webinar. We're devoted to disaster-related legal challenges and how to prepare your estate planning, in particular during challenging times like we're living through now. My name is Eddie Oram, and I'm an AARP Houston volunteer and caregiver. AARP is a nonprofit, nonpartisan, social mission organization dedicated to helping people 50 plus live our best lives, and so we can choose how we want to age. One way we're doing this is by ensuring you are prepared for the unexpected. Unfortunately, the lives of most people changed dramatically beginning March of 2020. The pandemic has affected people in just unmanageable ways. Estate planning has been a top priority for many families and who have been affected by the pandemic. We know that people are suffering many losses. So today we will learn the different kinds of estate planning, documents, and how they can protect your life and your loved ones. Our goal today is to empower you such that the information that you have will help you to be better prepared.
Hola y buenos días. Gracias por unirse a este seminario web de AARP Texas y Lone Star Legal Aid, dedicado a los desafíos legales relacionados con desastres y cómo planificar para su futuro. También se une a nosotros un voluntario de AARP, Eddie Oram, quien moderará la discusión en inglés y yo en español.
So today we are joined by our lovely communications department employee. Her name is Ness, and she has so graciously agreed to translate this presentation to Spanish. So thank you so much for being here, Ness. So during this four-part series, Lone Star Legal Aid and AARP will discuss legal topics that not only assist in preparing for a disaster, but also with recovery efforts. Unfortunately, over the past year, many people have had to deal with loved ones passing and the legal ramifications. During today's presentation, we will discuss estate planning during the pandemic and some must-have documents that can really help you.
You know, Megan, many of us began planning at a period that's really late. So what is the simplest estate planning document that you can tell us about?
Thanks, Eddie, and you're right. Unfortunately, many people pass away without any estate planning done. And this can make it really complicated for your loved ones. So in Texas, a simple will can just be handwritten, and this could make a huge difference. The only requirement is that you're 18 years of age and it has to be signed by the testator or the writer of the will.
Durante esta serie de 4 partes, Lone Star Legal Aid y AARP discutirán temas legales que no solo ayudan a prepararse para un desastre, sino también a los esfuerzos de recuperación. Desafortunadamente, durante el año pasado, muchas personas han tenido que lidiar con la muerte de sus seres queridos y las ramificaciones legales. Durante la presentación de hoy discutiremos la planificación patrimonial durante la pandemia y algunos deben tener documentos. Entonces, muchas personas comienzan a planificar su patrimonio cuando ya es demasiado tarde. ¿Cuál es el documento de planificación patrimonial más simple? Desafortunadamente, muchas personas fallecen sin que se haya realizado ninguna planificación patrimonial. Esto puede complicar mucho las cosas para sus seres queridos. En Texas, un testamento simple se puede escribir a mano. El único requisito es tener 18 años y estar firmado por el testador o redactor del testamento.
That sounds very simple, Megan. What other documents would you say are included or should be included in estate planning?
So a strong estate plan will also include several other important documents. This could be a revocable trust, which is sometimes called a living trust, financial powers of attorney, healthcare powers of attorney, and more. In light of the current situation, the 2 most important documents to have on hand are going to be a medical and financial power of attorney. You need someone who can do your banking or make your medical decisions for you if you're quarantined in your home, admitted to the hospital, or if you become incapacitated.
Esto suena muy simple. ¿Qué otros documentos se incluyen en planificación patrimonial? El plan patrimonial sólido también incluirá varios otros documentos importantes como un fideicomiso revocable, a veces llamado fideicomiso en vida, poderes notariales financieros, poderes notariales para el cuidado de salud y más. A la luz de la situación actual, los 2 documentos más importantes a tener mano son los poderes notariales médicos y financieros. Necesita a alguien que pueda hacer sus operaciones bancarias o tomar sus decisiones médicas si está en cuarentena en su hogar, ingresado en el hospital o queda incapacitado.
Now, Megan, what is a financial power of attorney? And what does this document do?
So, a financial power of attorney document is a legal document that gives an agent the authority to carry on a person's financial affairs, and it protects their property by the agent acting on their behalf. So, essentially, this document gives the agent the ability to pay bills, write checks, make deposits, and even sell or purchase assets or sign any tax returns while you are unable to do so.
Entonces, ¿qué es un poder notarial financiero? ¿Qué hace ese documento? Un documento de poder notarial financiero es un documento legal que se otorga a un agente la autoridad para llevar a cabo los asuntos financieros de una persona y proteger su propiedad actuando en su nombre. Este documento le da al agente la capacidad de pagar facturas, emitir cheques, hacer depósitos, vender o comprar activos, firmar cualquier declaración de impuestos.
Now, who can serve as my financial agent? And are there specific requirements for this individual?
So, any competent adult can serve as your agent. However, you really should pick someone that you can trust. And they should be honest, they need to use common sense and be dependable. Choose someone who is relatively nearby to manage the practical aspects of helping you with your finances as well. This is so important because they need to be around if that's what you need them to do. You should also choose a backup agent in case your primary agent is unavailable. Unfortunately, without a financial power of attorney, there is no person with the ability to act on your behalf. So family members will be required to request the probate court to appoint a guardian to have these powers to do so. And this process can be very time consuming and can be expensive.
¿Quién puede actuar como agente? ¿Existen requisitos específicos? Cualquier adulto competente puede actuar como su agente. Sin embargo, también debe ser alguien en quien confíe para que sea honesto, use el sentido común y sea confiable. Elija a alguien que esté relativamente cerca para administrar los aspectos prácticos de ayudarlo con sus finanzas. También debe elegir un agente de respaldo en caso de que su agente principal no esté disponible. Sin un FPOA, no hay ninguna persona con capacidad para actuar en su nombre. Se requerirá que los miembros de la familia soliciten al Tribunal de Sucesiones que designe un tutor para que tenga estos poderes. El proceso judicial puede llevar mucho tiempo y ser costoso.
Now, Megan, is there another document that allows someone to assist with making healthcare decisions, assuming that I'm not able to or the individual's not able to?
Yeah, and this is huge, especially when it is coming to the pandemic. So, similar to a financial power of attorney, a healthcare power of attorney is a legal document that gives an agent the authority to make healthcare decisions on your behalf if you are incapacitated or just unable to make those healthcare decisions for yourself. You have to be over the age of 18. And if you don't have a healthcare power of attorney, your family members will have to request that the probate court appoint a guardian to have these powers. And again, that's time consuming and expensive.
¿Existe otro documento que le permita a alguien ayudarlo o tomar decisiones de atención médica si usted no puede hacerlo? Similar a un poder notarial financiero, un poder notarial de atención médica es un documento legal que le da a un agente la autoridad para tomar decisiones de atención médica en su nombre si usted es incompetente o incapacitado. Si tiene más de 18 años y no tiene un HCPOA, los miembros de su familia deberán solicitar que el Tribunal de Sucesiones nombre a un tutor para que tenga estos poderes.
What about a living will? That's a term that we hear often, but I'm not sure I understand exactly what it means.
Sure. So, a living will, also known as an advanced healthcare directive, allows you to specify what end of life treatment you do or don't want to receive if you do become terminally ill or permanently unconscious and won't survive without the administration of life support. So, without a living will, the decision to remove life support is left to the hands of the healthcare agent or family members. And this can be a very emotional decision for family members. And so by creating a living will, you set forth your wishes and take the decision out of your family members' hands, and you let them know what actually it is that you want.
¿Qué pasa con un testamento vital? He escuchado el término antes, pero no estoy seguro de entender lo que significa. Pues un testamento vital, también conocido como directiva anticipada de atención médica, le permite especificar qué tratamiento para el final de la vida desea o no desea recibir si padece una enfermedad terminal o está permanentemente inconsciente y no sobrevivirá sin la administración de soporte vital. Sin un testamento vital, la decisión de retirar el soporte vital queda en manos de su agente de atención médica o miembro de su familia. Esta puede ser una decisión muy emotiva para los miembros de la familia. Al crear un testamento en vida, usted expresa sus deseos y toma esa decisión de las manos de su familia.
Now, let's go back to the will, last will and testament. If someone does not make a will, who will make all the decisions concerning the financial issues as well as the property issues?
Right. So this can be complicated because essentially a last will and testament is a legal document that allows you to direct distribution of your property at the time of your death. A will also allows you to appoint an executor who oversees the distribution of your assets. So if you don't have a will, then what happens is that the assets have to transfer once you pass away. So if there's no direction as how those assets will pass, this issue will be handled by the state, and the court will decide on the best person to oversee the administration of your estate, and the law will legally show you how the assets are divided.
Ahora volvamos a la última voluntad y testamento. Si alguien no hace un testamento, ¿quién tomará todas las decisiones relacionadas con mi finanza?
Oh. I think Ness is frozen. we'll
All right,
get-
let me ask the next question then.
Sure.
What about a living trust? And how is that different from the last will and testament?
So essentially, a revocable living trust is a legal contract that you make with yourself to create an entity to hold your assets. You can change your trust at any time, which is why it's called revocable. And you can set it up to outlive you. So if you make it, it will last the test of time. If you become incapacitated or unable to manage your estate, your living trust avoids the need for a court-appointed conservatorship. You'll appoint a successor trustee who steps in and manages your affairs without the involvement of the court. And this will avoid extra time and money associated with a normal probate. A living trust also affords you privacy surrounding the details of your estate. So it avoids the probate, which is a public process. So if you would not like your information out there for the public, this is also an alternative.
Excellent. Well, now, Megan, is it possible to create a will or trust without a lawyer?
Yeah, so there's several websites that make it possible to draft these documents for a low cost, but it's important to keep in mind that estate planning can be complex, and it says to have a professional review your plan. But aside from preparing documents and looking out for loose ends that need to be considered, a good estate planner will help with proper titling of your assets, such as real estate and vehicles, as well as designating beneficiaries for life insurance, retirement accounts, and bank accounts.
Now, while we're, Ness, would you like to give our translation?
I was just going to say that I actually need a second since my
Not a
internet
problem.
seems to be lagging.
Not a problem.
You wouldn't mind discussing a little further?
Sure.
Not at all. In fact, I have a question here. Megan, how can you store and organize your documents?
So this is so important given, hurricane season, we've all been through these disasters. So it's so important to keep a hold of these documents in a safe place. So once you have all your estate planning documents finalized, you need to be sure they're kept safe but accessible to the right people because they need to know where these documents are. So typically attorneys store these documents in fireproof safes in locked rooms if you did have an attorney help you. And if any of the originals are needed, the distributed copies usually have a stamp that alerts everyone where the originals are stored. But you should just give copies of relevant documents to your financial advisor, your treating physician, successor agents, and any family members you want aware of your plans. This is huge because people need to know where these documents are when you need them. In addition to making physical copies of your legal documents, you should also have digital files saved. And just as a reminder, you probably shouldn't save these documents as scan 1 or scan 2. You should really organize them and specify the name on the documents.
That's very good advice. Now, Megan, when it comes to getting documents notarized or witnessed, how can people do that virtually?
So based on the pandemic, a lot of things have changed. So some states have passed laws and issued regulations allowing remote online notarization so that notaries could acknowledge documents without in-person meetings. And Texas is actually one of those states that adopted that rule. But if your document requires witnesses, most states require you to sign the documents while the witnesses are watching. Then the witnesses must sign the document themselves. But some states allow exceptions to this rule, and you'll give leeway to sign these documents and have the witness sign them later. But again, I would be wary about that because it's on a court-to-court basis.
Excellent. Now, what kind of documents should I have if I'm concerned with either children and or pets?
So this is huge, and I think some people sometimes will forget about their little furry loved ones. But in addition to dealing with your possessions, a will allows you to name a guardian for your minor children. And don't forget to leave instructions for what you want to happen to your pets, digital assets, intellectual property, and business assets. You can create a plan for anything. This even includes your funeral, such as where you want to be buried or where you want your organs donated. But in order for people to know this, that is why it's so important to have this all written down.
Excellent. Now, Megan, I've also heard people say things like, well, I'm married, so I don't need all these documents. My spouse or partner can do this for me.
Right.
What are your thoughts about that?
So you can't make the mistake of thinking that you don't need emergency documents or legal documents because you're married. While a spouse may be able to make some crucial decisions for you, you could both die or become incapacitated at the same time. So let's say your spouse is in a coma in the hospital due to a disease or accident. If you had a financial hardship and needed to sell assets such as a jointly owned investment or your house, for instance, it could be difficult because each of you has to authorize the transaction. So married couples and domestic partners should give each other the power of attorney to avoid having financial restrictions during a crisis. And each of you should have wills and healthcare proxies for one another just in case something were to happen.
Excellent. Now, if someone needs these kinds of documents, Megan, can Lone Star Legal Aid help?
Absolutely. We assist with many probate issues. So, and I'll give this a whack in Spanish, but ayudamos con muchos problemas de sucesiones for my Spanish speakers out there.
Thank you, Megan. This has been a great overview, and we appreciate your time as well as Lone Star Legal Aid. Thank you for providing such valuable information. And for more information about AARP in Houston and our resources available, we ask that you visit aarp.org/Houston. Again, that is aarp.org/Houston.
And on behalf of AARP in Houston, Lone Star Legal Aid, and Equal Justice Works, we want to say thank you to everyone who's taken part in this disaster series and had shown up at the first Friday of every month. We so appreciate it. Again, resources can always be found at lonestarlegalaid.org. And we apologize for the technical difficulties today, but please remember you can always give us a call at 1-800-733-8394 for any additional questions. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. We will be providing Spanish answers in the comments section. And to echo Megan's sentiment, we do apologize for the technical difficulties, but we'll make sure that all of those comments are there for you so that you have those translations handy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day.